Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today I got for you guys a new fragrance clone flanker. Yeah, it's becoming more and more common to have clone fragrances that are really popular, have flankers kind of branch off, and then you get just an entirely new line born out of a successful clone. So the one that we're taking a look at today is this one right here. Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. I guess that's how you pronounce it. It's what we're gonna go with anyway. So yeah, this is the new flanker of Lattafa Khamrah. There it is right there. So in today's video, we're gonna take a look at this one, take a look at the presentation, break down how it smells, see how different it is from the original over here, and ultimately determine whether or not this is any good. I'll have this one linked in the description below. Feel free to check it out down there. Do be aware that where this is new and it's a Khamrah flanker, it's probably gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt to find at discounters in the short term. Because same thing happened with this when it came out. Basically it would come into stock, sell out, come into stock, sell out, and just, on and on like that. Eventually, once people are able to pick it up and enough people can buy it and everything, it stays in stock longer because it's not that rush anymore to grab it. So do be aware that as of right now, this one is probably gonna be a bit of a pain to find. But again, I will link it in the description. It'll probably be one of those things where if you really want it, you'll wanna keep an eye open, and when it pops into stock, go ahead and scoop it up if you really do want it. Before we jump into this fragrance, I do wanna remind you guys that my new ones, West Loop and Edgewater, are out in the little travel size atomizers, 15 mils. So if you want to check these out without buying the full bottle, you can do that now. And these are at Michael Malloy's website, which is linked in the description. You can also find the fragrances at every fragrance outlet and Perfumania store in the United States. And there's a video on my channel where I go over these in more detail in case you haven't seen that. First thing is first, let's take a look at that presentation. So here we got the box, and it looks really nice. These Khamrah boxes I've always thought were actually nicer than the By Kilian Angel Share boxes, which of course, the original Khamrah is a clone of By Kilian's Angel Share. So same deal as the original Khamrah with this one, looks really nice. You have on the front, name of the house, name of the fragrance. You have up top, Lattafa. On the back, you have your sticker of authenticity. Gotta make sure you got that. And then on the bottom, you have your ingredients, your badge code, your barcode, all that good stuff. It opens up like so, and then your bottle sits right down in here. Just like that, or maybe more like that. So you have this kind of gold mirrored finish on the back of the box here, and then you have the size and concentration right there as well, 100 ml eau de parfum concentration, and the bottle sits down inside with a little foam cutout. And here is the bottle. It's gonna remind you obviously very much of the original Khamrah. It does have a slightly different design than the original Khamrah, so I'll show a couple of up close photos there or videos of that. It's the same general design, just a little bit different. And I don't know if that's variation by bottle to bottle, so like if each one of these has kind of a different look to it, or if it's just slightly different from Khamrah to the flanker. It has a nice looking finish to it. The coloration here reminds me of like a sunburst finish on a guitar, where you have at the bottom this kind of dark, looks almost black when you hold it, and then gets a little bit more whiskey colored as it goes up. A little sticker on the bottom, of course sticker on the front of the bottle as well with the name of the fragrance. Lattafa sticker up top as well, and the cap clicks into place. All right, let's go ahead and blast a couple sprays here together. There we go. So if you have not heard of this fragrance before, the flanker, you may be thinking to yourself, is it just, an evolution of the original Khamrah, or is it a clone of something completely different, like an entirely new fragrance that they're cloning and putting into this line? Well, this is definitely an Angel Share clone that has a twist. You may be asking yourself, well, what is a twist? Well, a twist essentially is taking the original DNA, so in this case it would be Angel Share, and that makes up the basis of the fragrance. That's the main part of the fragrance. But then there's a twist done, a change done, something added, something subtracted, something changed to make it stand out from the original fragrance, again in this case Angel Share, and also the other fragrances that are clones of Angel Share, like the original Khamrah. So when you first spray this one on your skin, if you're familiar with Angel Share or you're familiar with Khamrah, and you smell it, you'll immediately get that impact, that sweetness, that praline, kind of cognac, fruitiness, all of that you get from Khamrah and Angel Share, you get that in the flanker as well. But there is a big difference, and that is coffee. That's really the main thing that sets this apart, that turns it into its own fragrance, is coffee. To me, it's kind of a roast coffee. Not harsh, not bitter, and not really that kind of sometimes powdery, almost chocolatey coffee that you can get from other fragrances. Not like that either, just kind of a smooth roast coffee bean. And it does have a nice bit of sweetness to it, but that's kind of coming from the praline that's in here, and also in the original. It melds together with that coffee. Now, the coffee off the top, you can pick it up pretty easily, right away. It's not really right at the forefront of the fragrance though. It doesn't take everything over. It almost plays peekaboo initially. So when you smell it, sometimes you'll get a nice big whiff of it, like very noticeable. And then other times you'll smell it and it smells much more similar to the original Khamrah, just with coffee kind of along the periphery. And it does that for a while, that kind of peekaboo deal, where sometimes you catch a big whiff, you get a lot of that coffee, more so than anything. Then other times it steps back a little bit. So it kind of wafts in and out, and I think it actually smells awesome. Now, the original Khamrah, I love too. I think it's one of the best Angel Share clones out there. Top 2, I would say, easily. And depending on which day you talk to me, I might tell you it's the best, or I might say, well, today I kind of prefer this one. But this is still one of the absolute best Angel Share alternatives on the market, period. This still has that DNA to it, so it still smells absolutely fantastic, just like the original does. So in smelling this one, sometimes I'm just like, God, this is even better, because that change, that twist makes it more interesting to me. Because frankly, between you and I've smelled Angel Share and derivatives of Angel Share. I couldn't even tell you how many times at this point, how many different fragrances, how many times I've worn those, all the different clones, and also the original. It's one of those deals, kind of like with Aventus. If you've worn Aventus a million times and Aventus clones a million times and smelled them a million times, you can still say, oh, they smell great, because they do. But after a while, you kind of get a little burned out. Same thing happens to me sometimes with the Angel Share type clones. And so for this one to have that change, which is not a massive change, you can still absolutely pick up that this is Khamrah at the end of the day, but that addition of the coffee makes it more interesting to me when I smell it, because it's something a little new. I kind of got sidetracked there a little bit. But yeah, you get that coffee kind of coming in and out in the opening there. You still have that Khamrah essence very much right here. As it dries down, vanilla comes out more, kind of becomes the main part of the fragrance. So you get that vanilla kind of swallowing up the other notes as it dries. The coffee, to me, is most prominent in the opening and the mid. When you hit the dry down, it's still there, but it's kind of more along the edges, and it doesn't quite poke its head out as much to become one of the main parts of the fragrance. Because again, in the opening, it's not necessarily the star of the show, but there are times that you catch whiffs where it's very prominent, then it'll kind of settle back and come out and settle back and come out. But when you hit the full dry down, it's more so just kind of lingering along the edges for me. So with Khamrah Qahwa, you could maybe say that it is not quite as sweet as Khamrah, but we're really splitting hairs there. It's pretty similar. And then that addition of the coffee does add a little bold edge to it, makes it maybe slightly darker overall, but still is completely wearable. There's nothing about this that's divisive, nothing about this that is going to have somebody smell it and think, that there's something off with it. I know sometimes with coffee notes, for some people, they can be a little difficult to wear, a little difficult to pull off, but I think in here that it's really well done, and there's nothing ever that sticks out as potentially off-putting. So this one, amazing in the opening, the mid, the dry down, just smells so good. For me though, there could have been even more coffee, and I would have liked that. Like just a little more, make it, have even more of a punch. But I'm not gonna complain, because it does still smell very enticing. It's just absolutely amazing in the air. It's one of those ones that you catch whiffs of it as you move around, and it just, you know, has you going back to spray it on again and again and again. It's that type of scent, you know, really addictive. Now, in terms of performance, it's right there with the original. So it lasts a long time, you know, it projects heavily. Very easy to pick this one up. It's made for fall and winter time use. So go into it expecting the same kind of performance that you get from the original Khamrah. You know, you don't have to go really heavy with it, but if you wanted to, people are gonna definitely notice you. And I would say also that the coffee that's in here, you know, it kind of reminded me of a number of other fragrances, just specifically their coffee note. So if you're familiar with a lot of different designer fragrances that use coffee, it's similar in ways to some of those. It doesn't come across to me like, again, that kind of powdery coffee that you can get in some fragrances, you know, like maybe Intense Cafe or something like that. It doesn't come across really like that. Also doesn't come across like Rocus Man, that kind of, you know, cappuccino kind of vibe that's maybe a little bit smoother and again has that like powdery vanilla sort of feel. This one is more straight up those coffee beans to me, but done in a really pleasant way. So Khamrah Qahwa, if you can find this for a pretty good price, I think you should pick it up if you like that addition of coffee to Angel Share / Khamrah. My expectation is that in the short term, there's probably gonna be people trying to scalp it, you know, on eBay, trying to sell it for 2-3 times what they paid for it. I would not pay that much. I don't think it's worth it. If you try to, you know, scoop it for that much, try to be patient, pick it up from a discounter at what would be considered a normal price for a Lattafa, and I think you'll be really happy with it. And I will say also, the coffee is a little more apparent off the tester strip. Off the tester strip, it comes through stronger and it lasts longer. Off skin, it's not quite as strong as off the strip. So do keep that in mind if you somehow test this and you just spray it on a strip. That's not exactly how it'll smell off the skin, so try to give it a wear there too. So there we go. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. If you've smelled this one, let me know what you think about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.